everybody. I want to welcome you to Voices from the Block, the show slash podcast slash whatever, this is, um, where we try to break down systems that, shape our community and we want to amplify, the stories behind them, right? So today, we're going to be digging into something that affects millions of people across the country, often before they even been convicted of a crime, the bail system. So we're going to go into how did it start and then how did it become what it is today. So the whole purpose of bail was to allow somebody, or still is, to allow somebody who was accused of a crime to remain free while awaiting trial, right? Based on that principle, that you often hear in the United States court systems, that you are innocent until proven guilty, right? But the way bail works in the United States has really changed dramatically over time, and these changes have had real consequences for our community, specifically for Black and Brown communities and low income communities. So the roots of bail go way back into medieval England, where communities relied on personal suitors, where people would vouch for the accused and ensure that they would return to court. So when the United States founded it, it adopted this approach, right? The Constitution prohibited excessive bail, and early laws guaranteed release for most non-serious offenses, right? So back then, bail wasn't just about money; it was about trust. So the 19th century came, and that began to change. Courts started requiring cash payments instead of personal guarantees. By the 1900s, commercial bail bonds emerged, and private companies would pay in exchange for a fee. Right, this turned the bail industry into an industry. It turned it into a business, right, and it introduced a major imbalance into the United States court systems, where those who could afford bail could go home, while those who could not had to stay behind bars, even if they had not been convicted of a crime. So efforts to try to fix this system began in the 20th century, about when the Bail Reform Act of 1966 aimed to reduce reliance on money and expanded pretrial release. But in 1984, another law shifted the focus again, allowing judges to deny bail if someone was considered a danger to the public, or not just a flight risk. So now bail decisions were both around risk and safety, right? And we say risk and safety in quotation marks, right? Today, the bail system remains pretty controversial, with many people being in jail simply because they cannot afford to often pay for their release, right? Often for these low level offenses. So some states, right, we're looking at some other courts in the United States are rethinking bail entirely, right, and experimenting with alternatives, or even the elimination of cash bail. If you look at some states like Illinois, you look at states like Illinois eliminated cash bail, becoming the first state to do so in 2023, under the Pretrial Fairness Act. So now judges can have the ability to release based on safety and flight risk rather than a defendant's ability to pay, right? Which is not still a perfect system, right? I think with bail and with things of this nature, it's going to be very hard to find a perfect system that can, be a one size fits all. But it definitely is a step in the right direction, right? So that's our little history lesson on bail. Today in this episode, we're going to have Candace Matthews, as well as Julian Goodson, who's our neighborhood Candace Matthews is our neighborhood engagement liaison. Julian is our workforce support liaison. And we're just going to go into what their ideal Grand Rapids look like, a little bit of history of how they got into this work. And after that, we'll get into some upcoming things for how you can get involved. And I hope you enjoyed this show. If you have any notes for how we can improve or make it better, please let us know. This is something new for us too. So, just trying something a little different. So yeah, absolutely. feel free to leave a comment, share this, and let us know how we can make it better. And above all, I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you very much. Have a good one. Peace and enjoy. Wanted to also give a chance just to promo a couple of events as well. We're having our People's Hearing right here on May 6th at 5:30 in the gallery space. That's going to be on voter education. And then we're also having our next environmental justice panel on May 13th. At also at 5 o'clock or 5:30. So feel free to check those out. Feel free to come out if you want to get more involved in your community. Feel free to get in contact with me. Send me an email. Call me, whatever. And I would love to try to help and get you involved in the community, or come to one of the events as well. So thank you very much, and have a good rest of your day. Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for choosing to watch our podcast today. Today, I have the wonderful Miss Candace Matthews. She is our neighborhood engagement liaison. And we're just going to have like a nice little casual conversation. We're going to go into how you got into this work, the types of motivations and what drives you to do this work. So yeah, if you want to give a quick introduction into who you are.
All right, so I'm Candace Matthews, Grand Rapids, born and raised. What brought me into this work, I've always kind of done a lot of community service, whether it was through like doing DoorDash, doing Amazon Flex, doing Instacart. I used to work in mental health out in Indiana. After graduating from Ottawa Hills High School here in Grand Rapids, I moved to Fort Wayne, Indiana, and did a lot of like work around serving as a waitress, being a host, doing events, and also ended up working into mental health for some time, and transitioning back to Grand Rapids when my grandmother got sick. I was, after a year of like just, dedicating myself to that, I just was like, I want to get back into work. And so there were some townhomes on Jefferson and like 36th Street, which is now considered the Godwin Heights townhomes. But at the time, it was just breaking ground. And my mom was like, look into that and try to, Google and see what those is about. And long story short, I looked it up, and it was Link Up that was managing them or that owned the property. And so from there, I'm like, oh, okay. So I got to looking on the site, and I started seeing familiar faces. Eric Brown and Lisa White, she's our property manager. Just seeing some familiar faces and like finding out where it was located at. I'm like, oh, my mama used to do hair in that building. So I used to get my press and curls down where Gladys Grill is. That used to be High Tech Hair Designs, about 30 years ago. And so it was just a whole 360 for me to be able to come back and, serve my community. And I seen that they had a receptionist, admin assistant position available. And I was like, you know what, I'm ready to get back into work, get back into the office. Like I have been just taking care of my granny and just doing, independent contract work, serving a community still, but just independently. And so I put in a resume, and I got the 3 interviews, and here I am. And so after like a little bit over a year from doing the front desk, I end up switching to what I am now, the neighborhood engagement liaison, which I'm outside now. So the joke was I was like the Link Up princess stuck in the castle, like Fiona and Shrek, and it was like, but Shrek, instead of Shrek saving me, it's like I saved myself. I had that ambition and that motivation to get outside. That was the big thing. And I always, sat in the meetings and stuff for the neighborhood engagement team, and just, grew to love the team and what they did and how they came outside, and they, was connecting face to face. Like I had my connections at the front desk, but getting outside and actually being more physically involved was my goal. So once I got the neighborhood engagement liaison position, I hit the ground running, started doing food trucks, toy giveaways, all types of different things and methods. And that brought me to where I am now. So
Well, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing your story, and I think too, like, to be ambitious, to be driven is like some key characteristics that you need to be able to do this work, because it's a lot, right? It can be very heavy, and it can be a lot on the soul, right? Just in terms of like I think that's like what it is with services. It's just like a very giving thing.
It's in you, not on you.
Yeah, and it's like it's one of those things that I think everybody can serve, but I think to make it a career and to really want to drive towards that, I think it takes like a special type of person. I think you're one of those special types of
Thank
people,
you. You too.
to be able to do this work. So I think in terms of just like Grand Rapids and seeing like how it has changed over, the past years. I've only been here about 2 years about, but just like for you as like a lifelong Grand Rapids native, I know you went to Indiana, but is there any like changes that you have seen in Grand Rapids, or is it things that you're excited about for the city? Is it things that you're worried about? What types of things are you feeling around
So one thing that I miss a lot about the city are like the church presence.
that?
We used to be big on like every festival, whether it was the African American festival, the Latino festival, or just a regular Grand Rapids festival. We always had something popping over on Monroe by the Calder statue thing, and I remember just the presence of like New Hope, Messiah, the church I grew up in, Community Bible Baptist Church, which is now considered Wellspring Church on Wealthy. Like we all used to come together. It used to be a huge presence of praise and worship teams, choirs, youth activity, and I feel like we kind of lost that a little bit just with the times, and of course, COVID put a big stamp on how we operate. So I'm excited though to see that those type of things come back, because that's kind of what held our city together. We were better together when we all came outside at once. Like now it's kind of like we're tiptoeing, like, is it okay? Like we kind of looking around the corner, our heads are on a swivel constantly, where I feel like back in the 90s, and just growing up here, there was always something going on, where now it's like, it seemed like we can't really keep too much of the entertainment around, like even for the adult nightlife, like is we used to have like the Uber Room, and we used to have like the intersection and things like that, and those places are either shut down or there's new developments being put on top of it, and I think we just need to get outside more and be more active in the community.
And when you say like the church presence and like those things, to do you're talking like specific like Black communities, like
Black and brown
things.
communities
Yeah.
for sure. We used to be outside a lot more, and I feel like some gentrification is kind of going on. Like we got a lot of people buying into different properties and making it something else, and it may not necessarily align with serving the community or align with revitalization. It may just be more so like it seems like a lot of things have been just performative versus intentional, servicing. Yeah. So I'm excited to just get back into kind of, be one of the many community leaders that can set that tone where we are more intentional versus performative.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, I don't need to be like congratulated, or you don't got to clap it up for me every single time I do something nice for someone. Like I do it out the kindness of my heart, or that like I love that the fact that I'm being resourceful. I'm grateful to get my flowers for the work, but that's not what I do it for.
Yeah.
So I think
I think this is like one of those types of like, this work is like one of those types of things where you can't really be looking for that either. Like as soon as you start looking for that, I think you kind of lose the plot and the motivation of what the actual work is. Our last people's hearing was around public safety, and hearing what you said about like how Grand Rapids has changed and how there's less stuff to do. One of the things that I noticed, right, is like a lot of our youth don't have a lot of things to do, right? A lot of our youth are frustrated or bored, or all of these like programs that are very vital and essential for them to be able to grow and develop as young humans, right? It's not there anymore, right? So then that leads into public safety, that leads into all these things that happen in our community. That's what leads like into those types of things that happen into our community, right? If we're not investing, if we're not pouring love and all these things into our community to help build it up, then what are we left with?
What are we doing? Right. And as a mother too, like being a mom of, I have twin daughters. They're in high school, and when summer comes around, it's like, what we got going on? So I'm glad to be able to be in a space where I can be resourceful and answer questions like that. Like we just had our youth summer resource fair, so it was like to be able to hold something like that and bring attention and awareness to the families and the parents and the students that, hey, this is what's going on. Because like I keep saying, we used to be outside heavy to where we knew what was going on. Now it's like we got to kind of search or Google or, hear word of mouth. It's like it's not really out there like it used to be. So I'm excited to see, how we can utilize what we have, the tools that we have, like social media and stuff like that. It's a huge thing, but it's like I don't want to be stuck behind my phone or behind my computer. It's like after I put my post up, I'm outside with it, So I'm excited to see how, we can bring back some of the things that actually worked. And like I said, COVID probably put a shutdown on a lot of our movement, but now that I think we probably needed that reality check a little bit. We kind of needed to be set down to just kind of be able to evaluate our lives and like our purposes here. So now that we like back outside, it's like, okay, now how can we implement the things that worked before COVID, bring it back to now, so.
And too, like I believe like a lot of the answers to like these questions we have as a community and like, Grand Rapids or whatever, I think a lot of those answers are like within us, right? I think a lot of times the Black community, right, we get told a lot of what the answer is. Like we be like, or they'll be like, oh, well, you just need this, or you just need this program, or you just need that. When I think what the community really needs and what, Black and brown people really need, because that's who I always try to center whenever I'm like doing this work, is what is the community-led solution that will push us forward, right? Because I think too many times what happens is we get told all of this, right? We'll go to a city commission and they'll tell us like, oh, this is a good thing, but why? And they don't elaborate. They don't elaborate into why, like they're insulting our intelligence almost, right? We can understand, right? One thing that frustrated me so much last year was like the voting precinct changes and the changes they made to that. And we took these people down and they were asking, well, how is this going to make it better? And the answer that we kept getting was, it just is, and it's like, I understand, right, that, they may need to create those changes or do those things, right, to be able to, do whatever, save money, however that may be, right? But at least explain that to them, right? At least explain that to them.
Have the right to know the details.
All the time, we hear like, oh, they're doing all these community listening sessions. People here don't know about none of those. They don't, because we'll go and
promote it.
It will be like, oh, I didn't know about that, because how Miss Johnson down the street don't know, right? And she don't got no phone, social media, she don't check her email, right? How are you going to reach her, right? Because she's one of the most impacted people. And that's the thing that frustrates me so much, is it's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy to reach the most impacted people. It's supposed to be harder. You're supposed to go out of your way to do it. So, I mean, that's just a source of frustration. But on a more positive note, and this is my last question for you, if you could wave a magic wand, right, and change one thing in Grand Rapids, change one thing in your community or the greater Grand Rapids area, what would be that thing that you would want to change?
Accountability.
Elaborate.
So what I'm noticing just in this work is a lot of us, and even to myself, I'm not exempt from what I'm speaking on. I'm speaking for me too. But what I'm noticing a lot of, like even with the housing crisis and the job crisis and just the different things where, our Black and brown people seem to feel defeated. And it's like, we got to take accountability for how we have led our life so far. Take accountability on, like, if we didn't go to school or if we didn't push, we have to push ourselves too. We can't just go to these different organizations and expect a handout. At the end of the day, you have to do the application. You have to apply yourself. Like, it's just, we have to hold one another accountable, and even to, like to everybody, not just Black and brown people, but like, like the different shootings and the different things. Like, I wish we could, the people that should be held accountable, period. Like, and there's so many things that are just like, well, like right now, when you look on social media and they talk about, how somebody can get prosecuted for arson, but then if you're the president and you have A, B, and C and all these felonies, you can still run and be president and tell us what to do, but not be held accountable for the things that you've done. Like, accountability would change so many things, and the perspective would be so much more positive if people just took accountability for their stuff.
Yeah, and when you say like accountability, that means like our community as well, but also the people who are in leadership and doing and have leadership, right?
Because it's like, if you can be, hey, how's it going? Good to see you. You at Gladys now, okay? Oh,
Oh,
everybody
yeah.
related. Yep. I'm
Mhm.
upstairs. So, yep. Good to see you.
But yeah,
Thank you.
what was I saying? Yeah,
So,
no.
about
So yeah,
accountability,
the thing with
community accountable.
yeah. So yeah, no. I mean, like not only just holding our community
Hmm.
accountable, but
But the
holding
people
those
in
leader,
leadership,
yeah,
yeah.
those leadership people accountable, holding those city commissioners
Because
accountable.
what are we telling our children or even our onlookers or our community members, our community leaders, people who have a voice? Everybody has a voice. So what are we telling them if our leaders aren't being held accountable?
Exactly.
Then they may feel like, well, I could be one of them and not give a
Hmm.
damn. Like, you know what I'm saying? Excuse my French, but it's just like it comes to a point where we have to set the tone and set the example. And so if our leaders of our, our governors and our presidents and our senates and whatever, and they doing dirt, what makes you think I got to listen to you? I'm
Right.
just like you. Like we all human. It's like they're dehumanizing the idea behind leadership.
Hmm.
And it's like, oh, well, they're in leadership. If they release the Epstein files, the government gonna crumble. Well, make it do what it do. It's gonna
Right.
have to crumble in order to come back up. Like, how do we evolve if we don't take accountability?
Exactly. And you know that you ain't see this segment, but the segment before this, I talked about cash bail and
Okay.
like the history of cash bail, and you know how it has disproportionately affected Black and brown communities and low income communities just in general, right?
Mhm.
And how there's this whole notion of like, well, if you eliminate cash bail, if you get rid of cash bail, you're just gonna let all these criminals out into the whatever, and that's not the case with that, right? The thing
Right.
with eliminating cash bail is to equal the playing field, right? So it doesn't
Mhm.
matter if you're a high up representative getting charged with the same crime as a somebody who makes 20,000 a year, right? It shouldn't Your wealth shouldn't indicate whether you have that accountability, whether you're
Right.
sitting in jail or not,
Yeah.
right? So I mean that's just one of those things, and I think accountability always comes back around, and
Hmm.
and always like flows back into the conversation. I think it's an important thing
It's a super
to
important thing.
keep
Yeah.
present. So thank you so much
Yeah.
for being on the
Thanks for
first
having
episode, being
me.
together. Is there anything that you want to promote? Anything you got upcoming? Anything, or you could just
Well,
talk your
as
talk.
always, like, check out our website, linkup.org. You can go under community events to see what we have coming up. Right now, like, is it dated? Like, is it going to be
It's gonna be out next week.
out next week? So
Yep.
it'll probably already be, like, Expunge will probably already be
We're gonna
done
try to
by
get it
then,
out like
before then.
Tuesday.
So yeah,
Yep.
like, I mean, I just encourage everyone to, follow Link Up on all social media platforms. We have a YouTube page, Instagram, Facebook, and just keep up with our website. We have our community events always posted of what's coming up next. So I just encourage people to just stay locked in, stay connected, and holler at me if you want to volunteer. Holler at me if you have some new ideas. Holler at us. Link Up is always trying to link and connect and make the connection. So
Absolutely.
I just want to encourage the community to just stay accountable, be accountable, and get outside.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you everybody for joining us today. I have Julian Goodson. He's our new workforce support liaison. Julian, I just got a couple questions for you. In terms of getting involved with this work, wanting to get involved with community service and even the work you do, right? Well, first before I get into that, you want to introduce yourself, just kind of
My name is Julian Goodson. I'm a workforce liaison support specialist here at Link, and I've lived here all my life, so I've kind of understand the ins and outs of the city, what our community needs, and now I'm just here trying to advocate and be the person that I needed when I was coming up.
Absolutely. And what kind of drove you to get involved with this sort of work? Like, you wanted to be that person that you might have wished you had?
Quite honestly, I think my experience did. When I graduated from college, I kind of put myself through college, and then I learned how to actually navigate the system as far as finding employment, meaningful employment for itself. So, in doing so, I learned a lot of ins and outs as to how to actually obtain a job, the barriers that you actually have to overcome, how to navigate the transit system, a lot of different things as you actually grow within your career. You hit different levels. So, in doing so, I had to learn how to actually kind of navigate where I was in the process. And then now this is a full circle moment to where I can help a lot of different levels on whatever stage in their employment journey that they're actually trying to start. Rather entry level, whether it be a part-time job for a high school student, or rather it be a well-seasoned professional looking for a career change, or just misplaced with work. My goal is to help that person out because I've been there every step of the way.
Yeah, and that's my motivation for wanting to do this work too. Is I feel like every person that comes in, every person that we help, every person that I see in the community, I see myself in a version of them as well. And so like my mindset is always like, well, how can I be that person that I wanted to? How can I be that support that person may need? And really trying to be non-judgmental, because I've been there. I've been in all those situations. So trying to work on building that, and helping our community out. So I definitely resonate with you on that.
Sure.
If there is one thing that in Grand Rapids that you could change, like if you wave a magic wand and it's just fixed, what would be that thing?
I think it really could be more opportunities for every level of employment, regardless to race or where you stand at, in your socioeconomic standing, whatever it is. I think everybody needs opportunity to meaningful employment. So if I can just wave a wand, I can help people overcome whatever barriers they're going to be able to actually take pride in what they do. So getting up and going to work every day don't suck. Another thing I would fix is helping people actually get to work. There's a lot of people in our community that struggle with opportunities to actually maintain employment. So let's say, for example, you got an opportunity in Middleton. Well, the busing doesn't go all the way out there. So it would be nice to be able to actually hope to overcome some of that.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much for joining me today.
Oh, yeah, man.
You, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yep. So yeah, I want to make sure that we invite everybody to the Link Up Gallery for our Expungement Resource Fair that's coming up April 24th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And just want to make sure that if you know anyone or you yourself are going through something where you actually just want to get your record expunged so you can have access to meaningful employment, Link Up is here to help you and support all of that. The following month, on May 6th, we have our bench warrant event here. So if you're having some issues with friend of the court, if you have some warrants that's outstanding, this is a very friendly place for you to actually come in and get all of that stuff taken care of. So those are the two events that we have coming up at Link that I'm going to be working through.
Cool.